Good. How's everybody doing? Thanks for coming out. So, back from the bye week, I think it was a good week for us to kind of, recharge a little bit. 6 in a row is a good, healthy start to the season, and so it was a good time for us, to kind of sharpen some things up, tighten some things up, which we did. We practiced Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday last week. Got 2 good lifts in with the guys, and then gave them a little bit of time to just kind of peel back a little bit this weekend, get mentally fresh, get physically fresh, and came out today with a lot of energy. I think everybody really enjoyed the breather, and I thought we were sharp this morning, and as we kind of continue back on our work and back on our path. And so I thought it was productive. I thought we got healthy. I think we're in a really good spot from a health standpoint, and so just excited for this next phase of the season. As we turn our attention ahead to Mississippi State, obviously I think this is a team that's getting better every single time they go out on the field. I know the results maybe aren't exactly what they've wanted them to be, but if you look at the way they're still competing, if you look at the way they're still improving, I think it's an extremely dangerous football team. I think it's a very talented football team. When you look at them on offense, they've had to transition to a freshman quarterback, Michael Van Buren, making his first 2 starts on the road in fairly hostile SEC environments, and I think he's continued to grow. I think the second half of Georgia really found a rhythm and played extremely well. To go into Georgia and score 31 points is certainly no easy task, and he did that. I think they have 3 elite wide receivers, Kevin Coleman and Mario Craver, are I think kids that can really stretch the field and take the top off of the coverage. They got a very veteran offensive line. They rotate a bunch of tailbacks. They rotate a bunch of tight ends. And so, Coach Lebby has always been known for how well they play offense, and this group is certainly starting to find their rhythm, trying to do the things that he wants them to do. Defensively, I think they're starting to get healthy. I think they're starting to add some pieces into the equation for themselves each week. I think they're starting to find an identity. They've obviously struggled a little bit early in the season, but I think they're starting to really come along. Mississippi State is always talented up front. They've got long, athletic defensive linemen. They always have. Stone Blanton's a kid. Again, you kind of keep going into these week by week. Kids who've been in this league forever. Stone, I still remember recruiting from back when I was here as a defensive coordinator. Really talented player. And I think Isaac Smith and Bryce Pollock kind of highlight their secondary, and it's an improving group every single week. And so full expectation is that we're going to have our hands full going down to Starkville. We always do. We're not very good in Starkville as a program, and so that certainly is something we're very aware of. And so we're going to have to go play our best football to have success on Saturday. And so from there, I'll kind of open it up to questions.
Front left, Cease, and then second row, Dave.
Mike, you always talk about job at hand, next task. Have you talked to your team about handling success? Because some of these guys haven't had a lot of success. Do you do that to your programs, your teams?
I think we talk about championship mindset, and I think that's whether it's success or failure. I think it's just how you go about your day-to-day when you're trying to become a champion, when you're trying to develop that champion mindset. And so, it was a challenge coming out of Notre Dame, continuing to talk through. It was a challenge coming out of Bowling Green, continuing to talk through. It's now a challenge coming out of Missouri. I just think as we build this program into what we want it to be from a mindset standpoint, I think that's more what we talk about. I don't think we talk about like, we had success or we had failure, so this is what it should look like. I think we talk every day since January about, like, what does it mean to chase greatness? What does it mean to try to become elite? What does it mean? And in doing that, hopefully that's what kind of focuses them on the things they need to focus on to continue to be successful.
Second row on the right, David and Alex.
Mike, to borrow something you said last week about having the team look at the 6 inches in front of their face, is it easy to get your team's attention when you see the carnage in the SEC, teams almost beating top teams beating top teams, and understanding that the records each week in the SEC especially is different?
Yeah, and I mean, we just need to look at ourselves. I mean, we've lost to every single team on our schedule at some point in the last 2 years. We don't have a 2-0 record versus very many teams in the SEC over the last 2 years. And so, like, this group of kids, the last time they went down to Starkville, it wasn't pretty. So I don't even know that we need to look at other people. I think we just need to be aware of our own history and understand what it takes to be successful, why we're doing things to give ourselves a chance to have success, and understanding that if we stop for any second, we're going to put all of that at risk.
Second row on the left, Alex, down front.
Yeah, you mentioned the tough times in Starkville. You've been there a couple times as an assistant. Is there anything unique to Starkville that gives you trouble? And do you play cowbells over the speakers this week to get used to it?
No, I swore I would never do that to our guys. So we play music. We play the music really loud. We create the crowd noise that way, and I don't know that there's anything specific to the cowbells. What makes it a hard place to play is they're always really talented. They take a lot of pride in playing at home. Their fans, like everyone in the SEC, it's very passionate on a Saturday afternoon, and they take a lot of pride in protecting their house. And I think that's what makes this league. And we talk about what makes this league different. Like, what makes this league different is challenges like this. This is going to be a rowdy, hostile environment. They're going to be full of energy. It's going to be a really, really difficult place to play on Saturday. And you just don't have that top to bottom in every single league like you do in the SEC.
Front right, Brent, and then Travis.
Greg Sankey addressed this a little bit, was asked about it over the weekend. Wanted to ask you, it seems like there's a growing number of times when maybe a defender will glance over and fall down, grab his hammy, and slow the game down for whatever reason. What is your take on that? What can be done? As he said, you have to take defenses at their word to a point, but then also something needs to be done about that as well.
Yeah. So can I be a defensive coordinator for a minute? Like, something has to be done the other way too. Like, the speed at which we play the game in college, you have a kid's shoelace come untied, nobody bails him out. And so he's out there, the offense is sprinting to the line, they're about to snap the ball. What do you want the kid to do? Kid's shoe comes off. They're sprinting to the line of scrimmage. He can't put his shoe back on. What do you want the kid to do? Like, there's the way we allow offenses to just go with no respite for the defense at all, which is completely unique to the college game. It does not exist in the NFL that way. Puts defensive kids at risk, right? Do we condone faking injuries? No. But I can go back to when I was here as the defensive coordinator, and certain programs felt as though we did that at times. And at times, it was a kid having to stop the game because there was no other way to stop the game, not necessarily because we were using it as our advantage for third down or to get a group on the field, but literally because he couldn't play the next stop and no one was going to help him. And you can't hockey line sub when offenses are going fast. And so I think it's a both side problem. I think it's bad look for the game when you see defensive players faking injuries all over the place. I think it's a bad look for the game when we allow offenses to go at whatever speed and tempo they want to go at. And I think it's certainly something that probably needs to be addressed on both sides in some way, shape, or form.
Front right, Travis.
Did the offseason do for Connor's arm, and kind of where is he at? Not offseason, off week, and then do for his arm, and where is he going into this game?
Yeah, I think he's in a really good place. I think he feels really good. I think every day of rest is helpful for him. It just kind of builds the strength back into it. Obviously, we would not have put him back out there against Missouri if we didn't feel like he was really healthy, and certainly had no setbacks. And for whatever ramp up there was in his throwing, it's nice to kind of ease back a little bit over the last week and a half, and now kind of crank back up. And so he's in a great spot, and he'll be ready to go.
And I know beyond the obvious, when in your career did third downs become such a sticking point to your philosophy and the way that you kind of manipulate things on third down? Where that become an interest to you, especially on that down?
Yeah, I think, big picture, I think when you start really studying the down and distance, and we spend a lot of time on what we call football 101 and just kind of teaching kids the game, the ability for third down to eliminate 2/3 of the game, right? You can run two really bad plays on offense, run one really good play on third down, and bam, it erases the two mistakes. You can go an efficient play, get into 3rd and 1 and get stuffed, and you might as well not even have had good plays because it's the same result. And so you start realizing, obviously, the importance and priority of that down because of the value of it. And I think you try to instill that into your program. And then from me, as a defensive coordinator, I think that you go back to some of the places where maybe we weren't, what I would say talent rich. We were certainly talented, but maybe not talent rich. And then all of a sudden you didn't get as many third downs, right? And so when you're at Bowling Green playing at Starkville and Dak Prescott's the quarterback, you're not going to get 18 third downs. You're probably going to get one a drive. And if you can make that play, you have a chance to have that game go your way, but you're probably not getting a second one. And so a third down conversion sometimes is points. No different when you're Wake Forest at Tallahassee. The value of that third down stop and getting off the field maybe enhances a little bit when you get put in some of those positions. And that's, I think, defensively when it started becoming something we focused on and maybe spend a little bit more time on being a little bit more creative and a little different.
Third row on the left, Luke, and then Carter down front.
Coach, you mentioned Mississippi State's true freshman quarterback. What challenges does he bring, and in what ways do you kind of need to adapt to maybe what he brings to the table?
Yeah, I think he's got a really big arm. I think he showed that. I think their ability to stretch the field is probably the most impressive thing that jumps off the tape. His arm, he's got great arm talent. He can throw the ball a mile. I think he's getting more comfortable, with the rhythm and timing with his wideouts. I think they spread you so wide. That's always been kind of the Jeff Lebby, that they kind of try to create some clean pictures for him to see it clean, and I think he's getting better at understanding that. And so, the explosive passing game is really, really scary when you watch the tape, and certainly what you see what they did last week at Georgia. And so I think that's the big challenge that he presents.
Front right, Carter.
You guys have only had one turnover loss since after the Notre Dame game. Just how much is that? How much is that attributed to y'all's success, and what would you attribute that to?
Yeah, it's obviously critical. I think when you look at turnover margin, we believe that's the number one indicator of success and wins and losses. And so, we're a 5-1 team. We've won the turnover battle or tied it 5 times. We've lost it 1 time, right? And so I don't think that's a coincidence. You guys have been out there a little bit at the beginning of practice. I think you see the importance and the emphasis that we put on it. We start pretty much every practice with some variation of it. We coach it and teach it through every single period. That doesn't guarantee you anything other than just, it's really important in our program. And then I think our kids are starting to understand the value of protecting the football and trying to get after the football. And so it's something we fortunately have gotten into a good rhythm of and certainly need to continue if we're going to have success.
And what kind of impact do you think Tommy Moffitt is going to have as far as this team in the second half of the season, getting through November and kind of wearing out teams and being the team that kind of stands out from the strength and conditioning standpoint?
Yeah, I think it's a multi-level approach that we have. I think one, we're continuing to get stronger throughout the season. I think if you ask a lot of our kids that, you ask Le'Veon Moss, he's 6 games into an SEC season as a running back, and he'll tell you he feels stronger and fresher than he has at any point this season. I think that's obviously a testament to Coach Moffitt and what they do in the weight room, but I also think it's how we practice, the things that we do at practice to make sure that we're continuing to improve and grow in those areas as well. It's how we manage them and how the players are managing themselves on their days off from a treatment, nutrition standpoint. I think those things all play a role. And I think when you look at it all told, obviously Tommy's the main ingredient of it all, but I think we're doing some things at a really good level right now, which has our team feeling really comfortable about where their bodies are. And again, you're in the SEC, so you're 1 week away from that seesaw flipping completely in the other direction. But to this point, I think our kids feel really good about where we're at.
Coach will go back far right, Chip.
Mike, did you watch football Saturday?
I did. I watched some. I can't tell you I watched it like an avid fan. I kind of watched it like a half-interested guy on a day off.
What was your reaction to some of the games you were watching?
Oh, none. I mean, I just kind of, they're kind of on, and you know, you watch some of them, and obviously you're watching some of your future opponents, and you know, noticing some things, and you know, and then you watch, like, I think our kids joked about this. We had our leadership group in yesterday, and you know, every Wednesday we talked about having that video where we talk about like football IQ and football intelligence and time management and all of those things. And so I think what's really funny is when I talk to our group on Sunday, they always come to me now with like, hey, did you see this play? Or I know this play is going to be on the Wednesday tape, or we were watching this game together and we saw this. I know you're going to talk about this one. And so you just see some things like that your kids and your team can learn from. But yeah, I'm so past the having any opinions or judgment on anything I'm watching at this point. It's like watching it numb almost to some degree. You're just kind of enjoying it a little bit.
Is there one position group that you would say has come the furthest since the first week of the season?
Since the first week of the season, I would probably say the wideouts. I think just getting a little bit more comfortable with the rhythm and timing of our passing game, getting to spots a little bit quicker, getting to spots on time so that the rhythm of our passing game looks a little bit more efficient. I think that from game one to now, that's probably the area that you would say has taken the biggest steps and strides. You know, I think there's been massive improvement across the board at a lot of positions in those areas, but that's probably the one.
Go back far right, Ben.
Kind of going off Chip's question, when you get to watch a future opponent, I'm not sure if you watched the Mississippi State game on TV, but do you get any extra in terms of that first look before you look into the film, having watched it play out, almost maybe kind of like you're playing the game, then you go watch the film?
Yeah, to some degree. I think I've always tried to watch TV copies because it gives you like rhythm and flow. And I think that's part of the strategy of how you're going to play somebody is just what does the rhythm and flow look like, especially as a defensive guy. Like, how fast is their tempo? How fast are they lining up? What do they look like in between plays and some of those things? And so you get the feel for some of that stuff. It's hard when you get used to watching the coach's tape and you know you're on the TV and you want to rewind it, but you can't quite rewind it like that, or you want a different angle and you can't get to the second angle that you want to get to as fast as you want to when you're in your office. But yeah, you just get a little bit of a taste of just game flow and how it flows when you're watching them.
And, you know, we talked to Marcel about his relationship with Connor. Connor was in here talking about their relationship. Is that something, not those guys specifically, but you guys as a team can work on in terms of like how to be a good teammate, channel that internal competitiveness the right way, or is that kind of more go to the evaluation during the recruiting process and their, you know, if they come in with that right attitude?
Yeah, probably all of it. You know, I think you have a lot of kids in this locker room that were in the locker room last year, and I think they would tell you the relationships they have with their teammates is at the strongest spot it's ever been, and so that is probably from some intentional team bonding and things like that we've done over the 8-9 months that we've been at this thing. I think it matters when you bring people in. You know, what kind of transfers do you bring in? We talked a lot about like the character makeup of the kids that you bring into your locker room, because not every transfer is the right fit. Not every transfer is the right ingredient to bring in, and trying to do the best you can to get that as right as you can. And I think we've done a really good job with that. I think our character evaluation on the kids that we've brought into this program has been really, really good, and so that's important. And then it's part of this new era of college football where you have to go out of your way and be extremely intentional to bring the team together. You know, you don't have and this is, everybody deals with this, right? It's not, you know, we have 110 guys back and 21 newcomers, right? That's the recipe it used to be. Now it's like, you know, we've got 60 newcomers and 60 guys back. And so how you blend everybody together and get those guys to play together, I think is really, really important. And I think we've done a lot in that area to try to help grow that chemistry.
Donna, you'll wrap us up far left.
Coach, you kind of just touched on it, but now that you're halfway through the season, how happy are you with where the culture is at that you're trying to build, and how much do you feel like the buy-in from your players has helped that success you've had this far?
Yeah, I think the culture in terms of togetherness, trying to do things the right way, trying to do things for each other, I'm extremely proud of our guys and how they've taken to that. I tell them this all the time. You know, when a new coach comes in and he starts talking a different way, kids have a choice. In this day and age, they have a lot of choices, and they can just kind of let it go in one ear and out the other. And I'm not really interested in this. This is not my thing. These kids haven't done that. I think we look at it a lot different. Not right, not wrong, just different. And I think they've bought into everything that we believe a football program should be about. And you see that continually show up in how they fight for each other. And that part is really, really cool to see. And so really proud of that. And I think that plays a huge part of it. Now it's, can we continue to have the right frame of mind? Can we continue to have that championship mindset? Can we continue to have that growth focus every single day as we go into this back half of the season? That's a whole nother challenge in and of itself. But in terms of the togetherness, I'm really happy with where we are.
Thanks for your time, Coach.
Yeah, thanks, guys.